It can only be attributable to human error.
You're entering paranormal.
Where will we go next? Just phantom from another time.
No one, Mr. Muller.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
That is one big pile of shit.
Hi, I'm Alex Kaiju.
I'm Jasmine With.
I'm Eli Watson.
And I'm Stephen Myers.
And we are...
Cryptid
Campfire.
It's still
So
so
close.
hard to do when we're not all in the same room.
As you guys can tell, we're still in quarantine right now, so the timing's a little off, but we're trying to get better at it. And we want to welcome you to the Cryptid Campfire, covering... What are we covering today?
The Snallygaster.
The one and only scary and German cryptid.
So where are we going today?
Today we are traveling to the caves and wooded hills surrounding Washington and Frederick counties in the state of Maryland. But reports of sightings also come from various places such as Ohio, West Virginia, and New Jersey.
That's my favorite place to hang out at.
Frederick County and Washington County, Maryland?
Yep.
In the wooded and hooded trees areas.
Yeah, dude.
And the hooded.
So what does the Snallygaster look like?
Well, it is a dragon-like beast, half reptile and half bird, with a metallic-like beak lined with razor-sharp teeth. Some of the earliest folklore actually mixes the half-bird features with like features of a demon and stuff like that.
Oh, yes.
Match made in heaven.
And it's got these disgusting mouth tentacles that hang out when it flies around.
Yeah.
And it
Enormous wings.
sucks the blood of its victims.
Yeah. Enormous wings, long pointed bill, claws like steel hooks, and for some reason, an eye in the center of its forehead.
Yeah, dude. That way you can see, where it's going.
Yes.
It's like every cryptid we've covered the past Cryptid Coliseum always has like a random eye placed somewhere for good measure.
It's true.
Yeah, dude. The Mathangwari.
Yeah, they're like, what the hell? Put an eye wherever you want. They're like big googly eyes attached to it.
It also screeches like a locomotive whistle in addition to a blood-curdling roar, and it has a horrible sulfuric smell.
Oh, sulfuric, huh?
Ooh, stinky boy.
Yeah, but that's interesting because that comes up a lot with a lot of cryptid sightings. I think the Flatwoods Monster was reported with a similar smell.
Kind of like burning sulfuric. It's weird too because I think a lot of people attribute that to like demons and like some supernatural like entities.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is a pretty interesting detail considering how this story goes down. But
well,
yeah. So
what is the Snallygaster? What kind of name is that?
You said it best, my friend. It's a German.
Ooh, that's right. The Germanic peoples. They know nothing but great monster designs. They said just take a dragon, put an octopus in its mouth, and let's make it eat people too for good measure.
Snallygaster is actually a mispronunciation of a German word, Schnellegeiste, which is itself a corruption of the German term Schnellegeist, meaning quick or fast spirit.
Yeah, or fast ghost.
Fast. Ooh. It's like a time trial ghost that I'm trying to beat.
Yeah. So I vote that we just combine the two and just go quick ghost.
Quick ghost.
Quick ghost.
And so that Germanic tradition was carried over to the Americas, I think dating back to the 17th century when they started immigrating over to the United States.
Yeah, 1730s.
Was it the United States?
Yeah.
It was not the United States yet.
Not technically. The Baltimore, Maryland area was settled by German immigrants beginning in the 1730s. And it's said that 1735 is the year that the Snallygaster first flew onto the scene.
Ooh. That's interesting.
Supposedly...
What year is that? I'm sorry?
1735.
Okay, interesting. That's crazy. So it showed up?
Well,
That's it.
apparently it was like, so they had this idea that the dragon flying child and animal snatching monster was the reason for much of the terrorizing that was happening and misfortune that fell upon the region. The rumor was that the Snallygaster was afraid of the heptagram, which is a 7-pointed star. So German immigrants were known to have painted red hexes on their barns, the shape of a 7-pointed star, to try and ward off evil spirits. And they followed that same tradition when they arrived in the Pennsylvania and Maryland areas.
Whoa. That's crazy. Could you imagine, like, in what, like 1730s? Just some German people showing up and they're just putting these striped designs, like these red designs, all over their barn. And they're like, we got to keep the dragons away.
Yeah,
like, hey,
we come in peace. We come in peace.
Yo, we're just coming over to set a new lives, but there's dragons, and we got to keep them away. I'm like, dang, these people are metal. These Germans don't mess around.
But I'm not sure how much like proof or how many sightings were actually made all the way back then. I think it was mostly just like legend and folklore and just kind of like superstitions.
Yeah, I don't know how true that is. All of this is.
The German people?
Yeah, I don't think German people are... No,
I don't think German is real.
Oh, wait, did you guys get the enemy of the Snallygaster?
Oh.
Yeah.
Briefly.
Yeah, the Dueo.
Dueo, The Rock Johnson.
Oh my gosh.
So it's supposedly a mammalian biped with features like a wolf, but the stature of a man.
Ugh.
And
if that doesn't make you feel gross, I don't know what does.
It's a giant furry.
Or a dog man played by Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Whoa.
It's time to go full ham and howl at the moon.
Yeah, I didn't read too much about the Dueo itself because I kind of wanted to save it if perhaps we do an episode on that at a later point in time, but it is supposed to be known as the sworn enemy to the Snallygaster because I guess they've had vicious encounters dating all the way back to the early settlement of Middleton Valley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How convenient, huh?
Mm-hmm.
These Dueos are out there and they're eating the Snallygasters.
Save some for the rest of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be fun to cover the Dueo as maybe a tall tale or another full-length episode or something down the line.
Yeah,
Yes.
so this is the little teaser for it, so stay tuned. And also subscribe to the Patreon for good measure.
Yes. So I have written in my notes here that the Snallygaster remained mostly folklore up until the year 1909.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone have sightings dating before that year?
The only thing that I could find was from the Baltimore Sun newspaper, where it states that Snallygaster sightings were reported in Maryland newspapers, including the Baltimore Sun, as far back as 1906, when one was seen near Frederick. However, I don't have any additional information besides that. I even looked on the Baltimore Sun website itself to try and find what article it might have been referencing, but I don't have any more details, just that supposedly one was seen in 1906.
Yeah, it's pretty sparse.
Yeah. All right. So I guess 1909, which is also a pretty, how do I say
It
this?
is a pretty year. I'm glad you noticed.
It's a remarkable year for cryptozoology because I believe we talked about this in our Jersey Devil episode, but there were sightings of the Jersey Devil in New Jersey in January 1909.
Mm-hmm.
And then in February, specifically February 12th, I believe, 1909, there was the front page banner story from the Middletown Valley Register about sightings of the Snallygaster.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the same creature?
The Snallygaster and the Jersey Devil?
Yes.
I didn't make that connection.
I think they're the same as Thunderbirds, and I think they all come from the aliens. I'm
Oh no! It was just Napoleon's brother the whole time.
That's an interesting point, though. But weren't they? Well, I guess you did say it was like a month after, so they weren't really seen at the same time. Huh?
Coincidence?
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, and those states border each other too. So
Yeah, that's crazy. And that was what 1909. So that was what 5 years before World War I happened.
yes,
Everyone's got time just dicking around, writing stories about the Snallygaster possibly being the Jersey Devil too.
yeah.
Yes.
So from this article, from what I gleaned from it, I have that it's supposedly a flying creature with a large duck-like bill snatched a guy off the ground and was like sucking his blood out of his neck and then tossed him off of a hillside.
Yeah, it's pretty vulgar, which it's interesting because I remembered what Adam was saying when we interviewed him recently about how usually the more believable stories don't put that much emphasis on, gore and fear.
Yeah.
And this one's just like out of the gate. They're like, it grabbed a guy, stuck its face, it's like tentacles in his face. His face like
right in
caved
his
in
jugular.
as the blood stuck out. Like his eyeballs exploded from the pressure of like the blood being sucked up. And it threw his crippled, empty body off a hillside and it fell in a ditch.
I know. I love how somebody probably saw that and was like, I'm going to sell 12 copies.
But yes.
I mean, it's just that's just crazy. They're like, what's happening today? Like, we might make a new well. It's putting the town together. Some guy saw a monster eat another man's face off and suck his blood out. Normal Midtown day.
But that was kind of the beginning of a series of stories surrounding the Snallygaster, which lasted only about a month. So like from February to March is when most of the Snallygaster sightings happened.
Yes. One development that I got from this flap of sightings, I should say, is that they decided the Snallygaster was the offspring of an egg that had been reported a generation prior. I'm not sure how true this is.
Is this
but supposedly,
the big weird egg, right?
Supposedly they found this big weird egg, and they think the Snallygaster is the result of the egg.
But it's like you
but
said.
What laid the egg?
The Snallygaster.
I see.
But you said it was like
which came first, the egg or the Snallygaster?
But the egg, it was older story, right?
Supposedly, yes.
Yeah, because like some lumberjacks, they found it and it was just like a big egg, but that was like I think unrelated unless it takes them 100 years to hatch.
Yeah, I don't know.
They have a very long incubation period and they come out hungry.
Yeah.
Fully formed.
Did anyone have any sightings from this time period?
I got one from Ohio, like we were saying, that said it was a man saw a strange creature fly over his area making screeching noises. And he said it had 2 large wings and a horny head and a tail about 20 feet long.
Ooh. Nice.
What's interesting about the sightings, too, is they kind of were happening everywhere at once. Like, it wasn't just in one area, like we've said. So, like, there was the thing in Ohio, and then it was also reported in New Jersey that there were footprints discovered in the snow. And then in West Virginia, apparently one almost caught a woman near Scrabble.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And then there's a couple stories about eggs being found by different people.
I think this one was in West Virginia. A man found a Snallygaster roosting in a farmer's barn. And supposedly it had laid an egg the size of a barrel.
Can you even imagine?
And this was near Sharpsburg. Yeah.
Snallygaster likes to travel. I don't know what you want.
And he likes to lay eggs, or it likes to lay eggs.
That's his pastime. He just has fun.
There was also a group of lumberjacks who claimed to find an egg in a nest. I actually don't know which state this was in, but it was perched high on a cliff and contained an egg, quote, big enough to hatch a horse.
Whoa.
I want more descriptions of the eggs. I want to know what color the egg is for my own personal enjoyment.
Yeah.
Is it a colorful egg? Is it a boring egg? Is it like a dinosaur egg? I want to know.
Is that like a baby horse or like a full-size horse?
I would assume full-size horse.
Oh my god, it's like
a big egg.
It's just this giant, it's like the promotional Easter egg balloons they have up, you know, at like car dealerships, just the size of that, and just hatches and horses just come out of it running.
Terrible.
And there was also supposedly another egg laid near Hagerstown, Maryland, because somebody had seen the Snallygaster flying over the mountains between Gapland and Burkittsville, and then it was reported to have laid another very large egg there.
How big?
It doesn't describe it. It doesn't give any measurements. No comparisons to large animals.
Big enough for like a medium-sized dog, but, you know, even then maybe a Shih Tzu. It wasn't as impressive as the other one.
Did anyone have any more sightings about this?
Well, supposedly the last sighting that happened in Frederick County was in March of 1909, which we mentioned earlier.
Yep.
That kind of the bulk of this stuff happens during just this 1 month period. And at the end of March, 3 men fought the creature off outside of a railroad station for nearly an hour and a half before chasing it into the woods of Carroll County. How did they fight it off?
Sick.
Did they have weapons? I don't know. Did they blow it up with dynamite? I don't know what happened, but
they used their fists like real men.
I guess so.
There were like 3 burly lumberjacks just drunk on, like, you know, moonshine. They're like, we're gonna take it to the beast ourselves. They're all bare-chested and just beating the crap out of this giant monster that's laying eggs.
But the story spread so far and so wide. I think it was at this time that the Smithsonian got involved and offered a $100,000 reward for the capture of the Snallygaster. And news of the attacks grew, which got the attention of the White House.
With our boy Teddy Roosevelt.
Our boy Teddy Roosevelt.
And he was considering postponing a trip to Africa in order to hunt the Snallygaster himself, but not only hunt it, but to mount it on display at the Smithsonian.
Can you imagine?
Just for a little frame of reference, 1909 was his last year of his presidency, and he was 51 years of age.
I know, what a way to go out. Can you imagine if he caught that thing?
Yeah, it would be insane.
Bully, I'll take the beast.
I even got that National Geographic was reportedly gearing up for an expedition to capture it on camera.
What year was that? Also in 1909? I thought that was later, but I could be wrong.
I mean, I don't know. I think either way, it's probably inaccurate because I think National Geographic wasn't big on pictures until like the 50s.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, did National Geographic even exist back in 1909?
That's what I'm wondering.
I think it did, but I know they started more as like a journal. And they did more text-based things, and then
like traveling abroad and like reading about.
Yeah, just reading about it, and then the 40s or the 50s, they started introducing pictures, and everyone went nuts.
Supposedly, National Geographic's first issue was in September of 1888.
Yeah, they're pretty old school.
That's crazy.
National Geographic still going strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so they wanted to do an expedition to get a picture of this monster?
Supposedly.
And then Teddy Roosevelt, he got his guns and went to go hunt the beast himself.
I don't think he actually went out.
Yeah, I think he just considered doing it.
Yeah.
But that safari was calling his name.
Yeah, because he ultimately he did go on the safari.
He had to hunt the Mokele and Mbembe, dude.
He was like, I'm going after the Mokele and Mbembe and the Kaisai Rex.
Yeah, exactly.
Should we tell the truth now, guys?
Yes, the truth comes out.
The truth comes out. I made a reference earlier when I was talking about the guys who were fighting off the Snallygaster. I was like, did they use dynamite? Kind of referencing the Hodag, because this is basically the Hodag 2.0. Well, not really. What year did the Hodag happen? I can't remember. Was it before or after 1909?
The 1800s, I thought, right?
Was it? I don't remember. Anyways, I said 2.0 because it's the second thing we're talking about. But yes, it's basically like the Hodag because
it's the shoddy remake of the original.
Yeah, it's 1893 it says.
Okay, yeah, so it is Hodag 2.0. So the existence of the Snallygaster.
Why?
I'm just kidding.
You know what it is so the Hodag happened. They're like, oh man, that was pretty cool. Those guys, like, you know, they got the whole town of booming. Should do that too. But we don't want to pay royalty rights, so we'll change the name, change some stuff. And it's basically the Hodag is Yojimbo, and the Snallygaster is the Fistful of Dollars.
There we go.
I do not understand that reference.
It's a very niche joke.
That is a very, very niche joke.
The comedic stylings of Alex Daikaiju.
Alexander Daikaiju.
So, the origination of this hoax is from two men named George Roderick Sr. and Ralph Wolfe Sr., who both worked at the Middletown Valley Register.
Mm-hmm. Ralph was a reporter and George was an editor.
Mm-hmm. And they were both trying to boost circulation. You know, basically, it was probably struggling, so they thought of something to try to boost readership and such.
Yeah. So this one was kind of focused more on just getting people the newspaper, while the Hodag had been focused on getting people to visit the town and bring in financial gain to the local economy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I read about a winged creature picking up a dude by its neck and dropping him off the side of a hill, I would be interested.
You're like, I gotta go see that.
They bled him dry.
So yeah, so I think it's interesting too because the Jersey Devil sightings were in January of 1909. So to some extent, they must have known about it and thought, you know, this would be a great way to. We need a monster of our own.
And then theirs carried probably February to end of March?
Yeah, February to March, yeah. And
it's too bad that tradition didn't take over to everyone just started introducing their own monsters like once a month.
Yeah. When do the lies end?
And, you know, and I'm sure the question remains there's like, well, it's being reported in different states, even as far as Ohio. And I know for a fact the Ohio one is fake. Stefan, I don't think you said the name of the town it was reported in. It was Casstown, Ohio. And it was reported by a man named Thomas C. Harbaugh. It's spelled Harbaughh.
Yeah, it sounds fabricated.
No,
I mean, Casstown's not even real.
No. That's all real. But Thomas was a close friend of Roderick, and his hometown was Middleton, Maryland.
Oh,
so that's
it's a
where
conspiracy.
It was a conspiracy.
Yeah, it was straight up fabricated.
Yeah.
Once again, another evil conspiracy with Ohio involved.
But even when the Smithsonian was involved and was offering the reward, like Roderick and Wolfe, they still like went for it. They didn't when the Smithsonian got involved with the Hodag, he was like, okay, it's fake. I'm sorry. But with this, they were like, I mean, yeah, guys, like keep telling us when you see him, but like don't be afraid, because they kept writing about it. And they kept asking readers to like write in.
Unfortunately, it did die away in March 1909. I guess people just stopped being interested.
Yeah.
Well, Well, do you know how the Hodag really died?
How?
The Hodag or the Snallygaster?
Oh, the Snallygaster. Well, the Hodag died because they blew it up with dynamite. But I have the last real sighting of the Snallygaster.
What year is this?
In 1909.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of on the tail end of like them reporting about it in Washington County.
Mm.
So the website says the last thing that they had heard of the Snallygaster was it had died in Washington County when it was overcome by the fumes of a moonshine still and fell from the sky into 25,000 gallons of vats of alcohol.
Yeah.
It's a horrible death.
According to the story, revenue agents soon arrived, looked at the mess, and said, "We gotta destroy it all."
Yeah.
That actually happened in 1932, though.
Yeah.
Did it?
Yeah, that's what I got as well.
Whoa, this website totally lied to me then. It has it grouped all together in 1909.
Well, that's because this is where it gets a little confusing because we've just talked about how it was a hoax, but there was a resurgence of sightings in 1932 when people started saying that they were seeing it again.
Yes. Shall I share
Please.
one? Yes.
Yeah, please explain, because I'm very confused right now.
Well, so from my understanding, and I think from Jasmine's understanding as well, that the Snallygaster disappeared after it fought some lumberjacks outside of that railroad station in 1909. But it came back 23 years later, and this man named Charles F. Maine, who was in Braddock Heights at the time, he was a Middletown resident, an ice cream entrepreneur, very important.
Yeah, boy.
Oh, look out, Ben and Jerry.
Or Baskin Robbins. Anyways, so he's returning from Middletown from Frederick in the early morning, and he says that he saw a creature flying 25 feet off the ground. The wings were spread. The wing spread was about 12 to 14 feet, and it threw out long, what does it say? Long stream-like arms, like an octopus almost. That's kind of where the tentacles come from. And he also describes it as changing colors, going from black to white and back again. So maybe it was glistening in the sun. I don't know. But yeah, that began a whole nother flap of stories.
And that same story, and this was reported in a newspaper called the Evening Sun. In that same article, it reported that two boys who had been out playing in the North Commons saw a similar creature the Friday before Maine's sighting. And he was also with someone. He was with a guy named Edward Leiter.
Edward Leiter.
So they saw it, and then the Friday before that, kids named Junior Fulmer and Buddy Hopt reported seeing the strange monster fly north toward Middleton from South Mountain, but they weren't able to say precisely what direction it was going in because they were so overcome with terror that they almost immediately fled to their homes after spotting it, which I probably would have done as well.
Hey.
Well, hey.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
This is before kids started being Stranger Things and going on wacky adventures.
So my question for the group here is, if there was this 23-year gap, where did this new, supposedly, Snallygaster come from? Was it the same one?
The eggs.
The
Okay.
eggs.
You're supposed to let it pause for effect, Eli.
Yes.
Okay.
Pause for dramatic effect.
You gave
let
her
the
a
camera
2.
fade out, open up on an egg in a distant area that's unattended as it starts to crack, and then the hand pops out.
It's the end of Carrie, but an egg.
It's the end of Godzilla in 1998. But yeah, that's where they came from, the eggs, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Supposedly.
I don't hear any other theories.
Well, what I wanted to know when I read about this was a lot of the websites say that the life expectancy of a Snallygaster was estimated to be 20 years. So it makes sense, quote, unquote, that the new sightings must be from the offspring of the 1909 creature. But I don't see how that logic makes sense.
But I mean, I guess it doesn't have to now, right? Since it's fake.
It's true. I mean, I want to know where they got 20 years from.
They pulled it out of their butts.
Yeah. They pulled it out of the tentacled mouth of the Snallygaster.
But, yeah.
I mean, especially too, because off of that logic, you say, all right, well, they live for 20 years and then they die, but in the last hours of their life, they lay an egg that hatches so that another 20 years goes by.
Yeah, I don't know, because, like, I mean, the Snallygasters...
I think it was just based on the fact that it disappeared in 1909 and then reappeared 20-ish years later.
Mm-hmm.
I think
so
that
baby stayed in hiding for 20 years and then to come out?
Yeah.
Well, you can imagine, depending on the size of a baby Snallygaster, you know, it could probably live in the woods in Maryland, you know, early century, relatively unknown, before it starts eating octopuses and flying over main roads.
They're all buddy with octopuses.
It starts like living in the forest, and then, you know, slowly people start going missing around the town and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just assumed that they got it from the 20-year gap.
Yeah.
But the octopus thing, the theory that it had an octopus in its mouth is also interesting, because I believe there are octopuses in Maryland, but I don't know how big they are. Yeah. And so that's another thing, is like, how big is this Snallygaster and how big is the octopus it's eating?
Yeah, and that's where, when we were talking about the description earlier, we said something about tentacles and whatnot, but that wasn't a part of the description in the early 1909 descriptions. It only came into play in 1932.
After 20 years, it evolves and starts growing a different mouth.
Yeah, maybe we got one of those pelican and fish situations like in Finding Nemo. Just gives them a ride.
You never know, dude.
It has different life cycles, like evolution.
But yeah, I guess around this time, that's when, as Alex had mentioned before, the Baltimore Sun reported that the death of the Snallygaster was by falling into a 2,500-gallon vat of alcohol.
And the reason that it was able to get rid of the flesh, leave the bones, is because, let me see here, it said something about... So the reason that only the bones had been left and like most of the flesh had disintegrated is because apparently lye had been used to speed up the production of the alcohol, and so it ate away at the flesh of the creature.
Yikes.
Now, I read a couple different versions about what the people ended up doing when they came in. Some versions say that Prohibition agents who raided the illegal still a few days later found little left of the Snallygaster, since it had been eaten away by the alcohol. Other versions say that revenue agents came and destroyed both the vat and the carcass of the beast. And then think this is when so this is when dynamite comes into play again, because a different report said that the agents didn't remove the Snallygaster skeleton from the vat. Instead, they blew up the still with 500 pounds of dynamite.
All right, boys, light it and flight it.
I also got that there was supposedly a photograph taken of the remains.
Oh, really?
Yes, but I was unable to locate said photograph, so...
I came across a lot of photos that I've seen when we were talking about Thunderbirds when I was researching this one. A lot of people like to use the same photos.
It's true. And I'll have more on that here in a minute, but I did want to share this little theory about that resurgence specifically in 1932 about the Snallygaster. And as you had mentioned, when they destroyed the vat, it was Prohibition agents who were doing that. Prohibition ran from 1920 to 1933. They prohibited alcohol, and so people would go into the woods to produce it, and but it would be kind of loud, there would be some explosive noises, some bending of metal, and to kind of ward off this, they're saying that they revived the Snallygaster as a way of explaining these strange noises in the woods at night. To not only cover their own tracks, but to keep people from investigating.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, what a way. Hey, everyone, those strange sounds in the woods, that's not like people moonshining or anything. That's like a giant monster that flies around and eats people's faces and sucks their blood out. So don't go in the forest because it's totally real. And everyone's like, oh, wow, a monster. We definitely won't investigate that and not let it, just let it do its thing.
Yeah, I don't know how well it went.
That's pretty good.
Clearly, a dragon fell into their vat, and then the government showed up and blew it up with 500 pounds of dynamite. So.
Or that
Our favorite way to get rid of cryptids, dynamite.
What if the federal agents took it and they kept it in a vat somewhere in Area 51?
Maybe they drank the moonshine.
Yeah,
they drank the concoction.
Snallygaster alcohol. It's like Snallygaster ale.
Snallygaster ale.
It's a delicacy.
You drink it, it starts mutating. You get powers.
So what happened after that?
Well, there were a couple more sporadic sightings in some random years. I've got one from 1948 saying that the Snallygaster was seen soaring above the spires of Westminster. 1973, Maryland State Police began searching Skysville for a huge hairy monster described by residents as a cross between, get this, a Dwyer and a Snallygaster.
Whoa.
Wow, very descriptive.
A truce?
I don't know, because this Baltimore Sun article, which I couldn't read directly from, it's all secondhand information. The Baltimore Sun says the Baltimore Sun reported residents of Skysville told police that the creature stood 6 to 7 feet tall with a big bushy tail, black hair, had killed a cow and several dogs, and left behind footprints that measured 13.5 inches long and 6 inches wide. Newspaper was also told by a woman that she heard it cry like a baby and then scream like a woman.
Find you somebody that can do both. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Get yourself a goat man.
But there was still quite a few strange bird-like sightings being seen in the Frederick County area, and it kind of kept the legend alive, even though it was said that the Snallygaster had died in 1932 and all this stuff. But the whole Dwyer Snallygaster thing, I read somewhere else. I can't find it in my notes at this exact moment. But one of the theories is that a Snallygaster hatches from the egg of a Dwyer, which I was like, I don't know about that. I don't know how these legends connect, but...
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
That raises a lot of biological questions.
Yeah. I think it would be good to do an episode on the Dwyer, because I really want to know, because Snallygaster you can see coming from a German word, and but Dwyer, that doesn't sound, it sounds more Native American almost.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I found it here. It's from the Baltimore Sun. Again, it's reporting the Dwyer hatches from a Snallygaster egg. So I had it reversed. Dwyer hatches from a Snallygaster egg and has human traits. So even though they're supposed to be enemies, they apparently give birth to each other somehow. I don't know.
What?
Still a better love story than Twilight.
Oh, I was going to say there's some kind of metaphor in there about being your own enemy or something, but it's just lost in
Keep
German
your enemies
translation.
closer.
Keep them so close they come out of your eggs.
But I have another possible semi-explanation, I guess, about the Snallygaster. And this deals with the Thunderbird legend, as Jasmine was describing. People like to use the same pictures a lot, and I think it might stem from this. And we all saw this when we watched Terror in the Skies, that Small Town Monsters documentary.
Yep.
It's called the Payasa Bird, and it's part of this, what is it called, a mural. They recently redid the mural, and it's along the Mississippi River, and I think it's in Alton, Illinois. currently, and you can go see this mural of the Payaso bird. But it was known as a bird that devours men, and it was a bird so large it could carry away deer in its talons.
And this is a real bird?
No, this comes from Native American legend.
Okay, gotcha.
And so a lot of people think that, this is another description of a thunderbird, but I've heard that this theory applied to the Snallygaster, but I don't buy it. I just don't see the connection, because this is, again, in Mississippi, not Maryland. This is very, very far away, and there's multiple different tribes, multiple different languages. This has to cross over, and just the fact that Snallygaster begins with German immigration makes me think that it's not a Native American tradition. Like, sure, it's similar to the Thunderbird, but I really don't think you can say that the Snallygaster is
like an offshoot of a Thunderbird.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
Yeah.
Well, did you guys go ahead?
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah. It's we encounter that sometimes, to where for some reason things just overlap and we don't know why. Like some things get tied to each other, like Indra Cold and Mothman sometimes, even though it's kind of hard to see the connection. Sometimes it's just like, I guess someone just was like, that sounds kind of cool. Let's throw it together. Who's gonna know?
Yeah, there was. I did read about another explanation. Did any of you guys read about when the Snallygaster had been shot and captured?
Whoa, what? Tell me about this.
Yeah, I don't know what this is.
So in December of 1932, a newspaper called The News reported that the Snallygaster had been shot and captured, but the animal that was taken into captivity was actually a large owl with a wingspan of around 3 feet, which had its wing clipped by a bullet fired from a rifle. According to the newspaper report, experienced woodsmen and naturalists agreed that the owl, with its weird gray wings spread in the cold dead of night, could be taken for a Snallygaster. And that kind of plays into the idea of Snallygaster maybe just being a catch-all term, which we've run into a lot with some of the cryptids we've talked about. Snallygaster just being anything flying through the air that you can't really describe or identify, not in the way that like a UFO is seen, but instead,
like a gargoyle. A gargoyles run the gambit of descriptions.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, I was reading in what's it called? Mysterious Creatures, A Guide to Cryptozoology, that the Snallygaster has become a catch-all term and has basically been used to describe almost anything remotely weird, even like Bigfoot-like hominoids.
Really?
I saw a Snallygaster. It looked just like Bigfoot, though.
I saw a Snallygaster. It looked like Bigfoot. It's just like the complete opposite ends of the spectrum for descriptions.
So did anyone get any pop culture references or appearances of the El Snallygaster?
Well, I have one final theory that kind of ties into it.
All right.
So there's a theory that there's a second world above ours. More enlightened world that we can't see because we're just, not inclined toward it.
Sure.
But there's a world of wizards and magic beings that have secret agency over all of us. And sometimes their monsters of mighty magic break loose. And the Snallygaster is a disgusting beast that broke loose, and we need one man to hunt down this fantastic beast.
Ooh.
Newt Scamander is our hero.
Scamander.
Help us, Newt.
Help us, Eddie Redmayne. You're our only hope. But yeah, the Snallygaster shows up in Harry Potter world, Fantastic Beast.
Yes.
And so they say that it. Let me find what they say it is in the little text. This kind of pulls it all together in the only way that J.K. Rowling can. Resembles a dragon. It's naturally bulletproof.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Once believed to be a type of dragon, this bird-reptile hybrid has found its way onto the pages of many a Muggle newspaper. And yes, I think that's how they say that sometimes their heartstrings get used for wand cores too.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, pretty wild. So there's an example of a pop culture Snallygaster.
That's kind of cool, I guess. I have that an annual beer festival in Washington, D.C. is called Snallygaster.
I saw that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of cool, right?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, we're going right now.
People get drunk and try to fight the Snallygaster in the woods like the lumberjack heroes of yore.
So in 2018, the Downtown Skysville Connection, and we mentioned Skysville earlier, they created a mural scavenger hunt to tell the legend of the Snallygaster, which accompanied a book called The Curse of the Snallygaster, written by Gatehouse Museum curator Jack White. So what's interesting about this is it's not so much what I'm trying to say is he took creative liberties. Like, he added to the story and he added to the legend to make a story of his own, because the legend is flexible at best anyways. But he used his knowledge of the town and incorporated the Skysville history into the Snallygaster story, and wrote it as the Snallygaster being a creature that has been seen a few times, but only when there's a flood. So kind of like another like harbinger of doom type creature. I think is really cool is the way that they did this. So these murals were planned to give residents a reason to get outside, get moving, and appreciate art. And I didn't write down the number of pieces, but there were multiple artists who were each given a segment of the story, like a portion from the book to illustrate. But nobody knew the whole version. No one knew the whole story. So these people were given little snippets of the story before the book was released, and they had to illustrate what they read, and then it all came together in this art installation in 2018.
Oh, wow. That's pretty sick.
That is cool.
That's dope.
And then what's even...
Oh.
Go ahead.
What was the name of the guy who started it?
The guy who wrote the book is Jack White. He was the,
Is that the guy
Gatehouse
from White Stripes?
One in the same.
Jack White. Yeah, what is it?
No, of course not.
Oh, okay. Because it sounds like something he would do.
Oh yeah, no, I couldn't tell if that was supposed to be a joke or not.
No, that was a genuine question,
curious.
right?
Yeah, because he like reupholsters chairs and he puts like records in them and like he does all kinds of crazy stuff. So I'm like, I wouldn't doubt him to be involved with the folklore of some obscure cryptid and build this entire like elaborate street mural for it and release a book too and just be like, oh yeah, and I do music too.
Well, if he's also the curator of Gatehouse Museum, then you got the same guy.
I would not doubt him being the curator there, in all honesty.
But the ice cream shop also took advantage of the art installation and the book by creating an ice cream flavor, which I think is funny because we mentioned earlier that one of the original sightings was made by an ice cream entrepreneur.
There must be some connection there then.
Maybe, but this ice cream had peanut butter, chocolate, and pretzels, which means I would be a fan.
Wow, dude, that sounds amazing.
Ooh, that sounds pretty good. And he put gummy worms in there to make it look like the octopus tentacles.
Oh, dude, that'd be great.
As a quick note, there is a band from Baltimore, Maryland called the Snallygasters.
Nice.
Hey.
Yeah, so home state cryptid, I'm sure.
Ooh, do you have any music of theirs?
I haven't checked it out yet, no.
Ooh, let's check it out. Maybe it's something nice and classy, like freeform jazz, with a name like that.
Freeform jazz. Could you imagine? But that's about all I have on the Snallygaster.
Yep, that's about all I got as well.
Oh, one last pulp culture. He shows up in Fallout.
Oh, really?
That's right.
Yeah, in the new Fallout 76, you can go to like the mutant wasteland, Appalachia.
Yes, that's right, because the Snallygaster has been really popular in Appalachia lately. I know the show Mountain Monsters. which is a scripted show, a fictional show that's like semi kind of like Finding Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty popular now, but they had one where some guy supposedly took a photo of the Snallygaster somewhere in Appalachia. But like I said, it's scripted. It's not real. Sorry, I'm not trying to attack anyone.
It's cryptid?
It's cryptid.
It's scripted. That's what I heard too when you said that. I was like, it's cryptid?
It's cryptid. No, yeah. Apparently those guys are really awesome though, so... And they show up to a bunch of cryptid conventions and stuff, so...
Well, maybe we'll check it out. That sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, he shows up in Fallout, so Fallout's got like a lot of cryptids that just pop up as monsters, which is cool.
Can you fight it?
So, yeah. You should look at it too. It looks gross. It looks like a turkey with sharp teeth with no feathers on it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's this gross little looking monster, and they're like, oh, it was an experiment that broke loose from a laboratory, and it's like mutated and procreated, and it's just everywhere now.
Whoa.
So that's pretty metal. But yeah, I think that's it for the Snallygaster. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that's it.
There's not like a whole lot, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Alex, take us to the Cryptid Coliseum.
All right, are we ready?
Yes.
We are ready.
Let's go, Cryptid Coliseum time, baby! And now begins the struggles of the Snallygaster in Cryptid Coliseum. We open up on a wide shot of a huge mountain range. Scattered all along the mighty mountains are ruins of previous civilizations. Forever lost to time, but sitting atop the fallen empires is the Cryptid Coliseum. Lining the battleground are the maniac fans of the cryptid battles. People cheer and scream and cry. The crowd's ready for blood. A large metal gate slowly lifts.
Did you do the hand motion?
I did. I always do. And out steps the Snallygaster. It's a lizard-like head twitching and its long mouth tentacles snapping back and forth. Wide yellow eyes darting all directions as it outstretches its leathery wings. With a forceful jump, the Snallygaster takes flight. A loud scream emits from the strange beast as it dives into the crowd. People scream and trample others as the creature grabs helpless people and begins to pierce their necks and their faces, draining blood like a screaming juice box.
This is a PR nightmare for us.
The carnage continues with lifeless bodies being tossed aside,
Good Lord.
blood spilling from the disgusting jaws of the Snallygaster. It reaches with steel hooks for more panicking meals when there's a sudden blue explosion from center arena. Electricity sparks from the weird blue blast. The ground is scorched and molten around a huddled mass. The shape steps forward, and we see an old-fashioned hunting suit with rifle strapped in a shoulder pack, various knives and trophies hang from a hip holster. A loud war cry lets loose from a toothy grin. Theodore Teddy Roosevelt has come to put an end to his winged fiend.
Oh my god.
That's
Time and
sick.
space be damned. The Snallygaster stops his rampage and slowly faces its adversary. It begins to rocket towards Teddy Roosevelt. We see the ancient dragon-like beast slice through the air, and Teddy readies his custom-made rifle. Like Ahab hunting Moby Dick, he has gone mad with revenge. And we cut to black as a loud gunshot is heard.
I was not expecting that.
And we ask you, creepy campers, who wins in Cryptid Coliseum?
The Snallygaster or our former president?
Who can time travel?
That is funny.
Yeah, so I think that'll be a pretty fun battle to see how it plays out. And you guys should tell us about who you think would win on the Cryptid Campfire Instagram.
So is Teddy Roosevelt the first human competitor in the Cryptid Coliseum?
I think he is.
Yeah, that we've seen, yeah.
So does that mean Teddy Roosevelt is a cryptid?
I think he's
Well, we don't
want
want
to
to make any accusations.
He was a mighty man who knew how to handle a gun and tame any beast he found.
He unzips his skin and he's one of the, what is it, the Dwyo?
Oh no.
He's just a giant wolf man.
I'm here
And
to...
he's like, oh, continue.
No, you're good.
He's like, I'm here to break your eggs and lay some new Snallygasters.
So, with that said, how do I find you online, Alex, if I want to follow you for more Cryptid Coliseum lunacy?
Well, if you want to hear more about the insane thoughts and opinions of Alex Daikaiju, you can go on Instagram and Twitter at Alex Daikaiju. That's Alex Daikaiju. And just for my sources for this episode, I used ancientorigins.net, legendsofamerica.com, harrypotterwikifandom.com,
Nice.
and falloutwikipediafandom.com. And if I wanted to find you, Jasmine?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram as well. My name is the same on both, Jasmine Maywith, JasmineMaewith. My research for this episode came from Legends of America, Ancient Pages, Ancient Origins, the Singular Fortean Society, Baltimore Sun, Carroll County Times, and Bygone, Maryland.
Oh, right on.
Ooh. And if I wanted to claw through the very tunnels of my computer screen and find Stephen Myers,
You can
King
find
of
me.
Hollywood, where can I find you?
That's me. You can find me on Instagram at MyersStephen. That's MyersStephen. And I got my research from Legends of America, the Cryptid Wiki, Wikipedia, and the Singular Fortean Society.
Ooh.
Shout out to Tobias Wayland, man.
Yeah, Singular Fortean Society. And if I wanted to find the Eli Watson on the onlines,
yes, I am at the Eli Watson on Instagram only. And for my sources, I used legendsofamerica.com, ancientorigins.net, appalachianhistory.net, altonweb.com, and let's see, what is it called? Give me 1 second. Building the suspense. Mysterious Creatures, A Guide to Cryptozoology by George Eberhardt. So, I also run the @Cryptid Campfire Instagram, Facebook, Twitter pages. We're on all the social medias. You can visit our website, cryptidcampfire.com, where you can get your own Cryptid Campfire t-shirt.
Woo!
oh yeah, the official, baby.
Oh yeah, it's pretty crispy if you ask me. And you can also visit our Patreon, where for $5 a month, you can get access to exclusive episodes along with exclusive images and videos and
Early access to the episodes as well.
Yes, early access as well. Yeah, and we're adding stuff to it all the time, so.
Yeah, so I think that's about it. That's us as Cryptid Campfire. We want to thank you for tuning us, and we'll see you next week with something crazier.
Yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in.
Bye, guys.